Today we're gonna get down to business. I'm gonna harvest my potatoes, and this is another one been waiting a while for, but I slept on it overnight and I thought, I don't know, just go ahead and pull them. I came out here and did a little bit of scratching, and we've got a couple potatoes, so I want to go ahead and clear this bed out. There is not much more growth going to happen here, and we're just going to see what's going on. All right, and just before we get started, I do want to say this: each plant was half a potato. We spent $5 on the bag of potatoes, so I believe these are Yukon Golds. So basically, if we get a couple potatoes per plant, I'll be happy with that. I don't really know what's going to be in there. I put way more effort than I did last year into growing potatoes, so this is my second year growing potatoes, and I'm a little optimistic, but that's okay. We'll see what happens, but basically I just want to get more than one potato per plant, and then if I do that, then that kind of sets me in the path to go in the right direction. Let's see what we got. Well, gotta save these for the chickens, you know. And then down here, let's see where the magic is. I can tell you this, the unfortunate thing is there's red ants all through here, fire ants. This should be fun. So there's the piece we started with. It's kind of icky and yucky, isn't it? Here we go. That's a tater. That is a tater. There we go. The first couple were kind of lame, but the more we get into it, it's starting to get some better taters. Big old fat worms. Ah, it's raining. Okay, quick downpour. That's not good for potato digging, but I'll say this, we're about, I'd say roughly halfway through digging the potatoes, and what I'm noticing is this side of the bed is producing less than the far side of the bed, and I don't know why. That side gets more shade, so your guess is as good as mine. While we wait out this rainstorm, let us know what you think, and then we're gonna get back to digging more potatoes, I guess in wet soil after this. Come on. There you go. Just for the record, my dog hates getting her feet wet. That's it, just her feet. The rest of her she could care less. But yeah, I hope this does pass soon. We've gotten so much rain, it's been kind of crazy. It's kind of relaxing in here, listen to it. And I mean, check that out. That's a beautiful thing. I really hope we get more of these. All right, I think the best thing, because it's not really stopping raining, and this is all like tropical rains coming through, is I'm just gonna have to wait. So I've got about half of them done, and I've been sitting in my shed because I actually have a chair in my shed. I've been drinking a bunch of water, so I'm just gonna let it rest because I don't wanna harvest when it's really wet. You know, if it was just a quick downpour, that'd be one thing. But because it's really wet and it's starting to puddle on the garden, I think I'm just gonna give it a you know, let this rain stop. If it gets really warm and the soil starts to dry out a little bit, then I can finish. I'll come back and finish. Now for you, it's gonna be like a split second, but for me, it's gonna be however long it takes to get it done. But I think that's gonna be the best bet because I'm gonna walk towards the house and just kind of quickly show you what's going on in that bed. And then, you know, I don't want to damage the potatoes getting them out. I don't want them to have any kind of issues. You know, we've waited so long that there's no point. But just to show you what's going on in the bed, and it's actually starting to drain a bit. But you can see here, you can see how it's like pulled up right here. And so we have like this piece of a row. Actually, we have to go down this row a little bit and then all of this back here. So I think it's just better off to just kind of let it dry out a little bit and then we'll come back. Well, we had to wait a whole day, but we're gonna finish up. All right, so far this back row is doing good. I've got a portion of it done. I got a couple more plants to do, but I've got to get something about these. These are some little grubs that are in the garden, and I like to save them for the chickens. But I was trying to be lazy and just let them sit there and kind of make sure they didn't dig back in the ground. But that clearly isn't working, so I got to get something to hold them in because they keep trying to crawl all over me and whatnot, and they're creepy, man. I don't know what they are, but they're creepy. If you guys know what they are, leave them in the comments. I'll show you another picture real quick as I put them in the cup. But I just feed them to the chickens. I figure people pay for chicken snacks, but I just grow them. So that's what they are. If you know what they are, throw us a comment. But I don't even like to touch them. Yuck. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more to go. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back and just do like a whole dig through. This is where the fire ants are. So this should be fun. I really hope they don't chew me up. But if I was a fire ant, I'd chew me up. Come on, Tater. There we go. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good way to start finishing out this row here. There's another one. And another one. I was a little worried. I'm gonna have to admit, I was a little worried that it wasn't gonna be that good, but it's finishing out pretty strong. So this is what we got today after the rain. And this is what we got before the rain. So we'll combine them and then weigh them. And then we'll see exactly how we did in comparison to price. Now we still have another smaller bed back there that my son needs to do, but I'm on his schedule. And I think now that he sees that mine are done when he gets home from school, he's probably gonna wanna do it. So that video is gonna be starring my son. It might be next, it might not be, I don't know. It's up to him what he wants to do. But I'm pretty happy with just visually the way it looks. Now there are a couple things I do different. The first thing is when I ordered my potatoes at first, and the company, they just didn't ship them when they were supposed to. So I called them, contacted them. They're like, oh yeah, we're delayed because of the ice. And I was like, well, you're already 3 weeks late. When are you gonna send them to me? So I canceled the order, found some locally. Clearly it worked out good. But I get them in about 2 weeks earlier, I think. And I think that would really make a big difference because 2 weeks in potato world is all the difference. So they like to start to die back when it gets warm, and we've had a couple pretty warm days, and I think that kind of kick-started the dieback. So I would definitely do that a little bit earlier, probably try around Valentine's Day to get them in. And then the other thing that I would do is, so here's the situation. Now, I didn't show totally, but I'm sure you saw that there was a lot of weeds growing in here. And so, I mean, I had like a lot of this stuff and whatnot growing in here. And I think what I should have done is when I planted them and I put my rows in, I put them in, I cover them. When they started to come up and I did another hilling, I should have come back and then covered them with straw and then hilled them again, at least strawed on the hill and then hilled them again. And I think that would have helped too. Because that's really gonna do two things. It'll give the potato substrate to grow in. Now I know a lot of people grow in bales of hay and stuff like that, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong. My hands are filthy, by the way. But what I think is, you know, your soil, your dirt, whatever, is always gonna have more nutrients. But if you put it on top, it'll help suppress the weeds. And then when we bury it, the dirt will actually get down in between all of the hay or straw or mulch, whatever you use. And it'll help foster that and also help it break down so that when we go to replant this afterwards, we can, because I mean, it's June and it's June and look what I just saw my first thing of. Japanese beetle. Got to stay on top of them now. It begins. But it's June and we have another 3 to 4 months of growing. So, you know, you can be building your soil while it's growing. And then if you think about it, this bed right now, I completely tilled it with my bare hands today. 100% flipped it and everything. So, I mean, it's ready to go. You know, I'll come in and I'll weed under these green beans and stuff and get them situated, do the edges and all that, but you're already getting them ready for the next season. I say season, but I meant next planting. So the plan for this bed now is, I don't know if you remember, and if you haven't remembered, we're doing the hybrid versus heirloom Brussels sprout challenge in here. It's a challenge that I created for myself. But we're gonna do it in here, and I'm not gonna plant it for a couple weeks. I mean, they have just sprouted. So we're gonna go ahead and weed it really good, all up under the green beans. We're gonna feed the green beans, get them right. We're gonna rake it, level it, feed the whole bed. We're gonna go ahead and fertilize it as if it were regularly planted. And then I'm gonna cover it with mulch and I'm gonna let it sit for a couple weeks until we can get those Brussels sprouts in there. I had toyed around with putting some lima beans in there, but I don't think I just let it rest and let it do its thing, let it rebuild, recharge, collect water. We're still gonna water it and everything. And then we can be able to get the bed growing, and then hopefully we'll be really good for our Brussels sprouts, hybrid or heirloom, doesn't matter. I don't care what it is, I just wanna eat something. So now, these will go to the chickens. Hopefully you guys have told me what they are. And then all of this will go to the chickens too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and feed it to the chickens. For reason, they're covered in ants. I got bit a bunch of times on my hands, which really sucks. And I don't want those in my compost pile, so I'm just gonna let the chickens have at it, give them some protein. And if there's any kind of disease or anything on them, chickens can handle it. No point in composting it. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with them, but you never know. So we'll just feed it to them. It's nice and simple, and try not to get stung by a wasp. But it is the moment of truth. So let's get our basket, which now that I've combined it, I'm extremely happy with how much we got. I mean, that's what we got. So I'm pretty happy with that. I believe it was, here it is, 2.5 pound or a 5 pound bag. Either way, but we're gonna weigh it right now. Got this set up. Turn on. There we go. £16 pounds. So 16 pounds of potatoes. All right, let's do some quick math here. Never do math in public, but whatever, I'll give it a shot. I spent $5 on the potatoes, so there's that. I really do want to say it's about 2 pounds of potatoes, so that would be 8 times the amount that we planted, okay? So 8 times the amount, that's pretty good. I think a 5 pound bag of potatoes is, right now, I want to say it's like $7 for a 5 pound. So it's $21, $23 worth of potatoes. Now this opens up the question, is it worth it to grow the potatoes? I say, looking at my beds and how I have everything planted and the time of year it is, I did not sacrifice putting anything in this bed at all. I don't think, one thing, I did have to get a little bit creative, but overall everything went in here just right. We have the other bed over there too, so that's going to be a whole different thing. Now, monetarily, this is the thing with gardening. Is it worth the money? I mean, you see what we did with the potatoes. It's 22 23 bucks worth of potatoes, but we didn't sacrifice anything. So we'll get that money out. Now, the grand scheme of things, if I'm taking out the money completely, and I'm saying, hey, the shit hit the fan and the world's coming to an end. Not an end, but you know, everybody's crazy, can't get to the grocery store. Like, yeah, it's worth it. It's for sure worth it, because the thing that I have to remember is in this bed, I dug the trenches, I put the potatoes in, I covered them, I hilled them once, I hilled them twice, and I may have even hilled them a third time. I fertilized them twice, and that's it. I didn't touch them after that. That is very minimal work involved. So, and I get a bunch of potatoes out of it. Now, is this a lot of potatoes? For you, that might not be a lot of potatoes. You might eat a lot of potatoes, but in our family, we don't really kill the potatoes that much. I mean, we'll have some tater salads, some French fries, stuff like that, but not often. We don't really do baked taters or anything like that. So it is what it is. I mean, with as little as we eat, I think it's fine. I think it's going to be just fine, and we're going to have plenty. I would do it again. I'll tell you that much. And I would probably even do 2 beds again next year and just keep honing in and making it better. But I'm happy with what I got. So let us know what potatoes you're growing, and if you've harvested, how you did. What multiple of return did you get on yours? Like I said, I'm pretty sure we got an 8 times multiple of return on our potatoes. So what did you get on yours? And how are you going to cook them? I'm having fries tonight. Goodbye.